Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wells of Wall Street. I hope you are doing fantastically well wherever you are in the world. Today's video, IOTX, that's IOTX on the exchange. Quick update from these guys. One of my favourite bags, as you know, I like AI and IoT projects. We've covered IOTA recently, which is absolutely phenomenal as well. I do believe IOTX is slightly behind them, not necessarily because of the price, but more so the development of the project. But that doesn't stop me, because I know from personal experience, if you have watched my previous videos, you would know, just general experience in the real world, background of AI and IoT. I know where this is going. I think I've provided enough market data by now in the videos to perform a thought process around why I think that. So keep an eye on these ones, guys. There's still an opportunity this year, in my opinion, for some good growth in the next couple of months. But more importantly for me, it's about the long term. So there's good options for both. And also staking opportunities as well. So not necessarily just now, which I have been doing. And I did mention previously that I kind of kicked myself in the teeth, as it were, back in July, I think it was, when we had a run. We'll see that in the chart. And I'll just re-emphasize the risk, if you want to call it that, of having things in staking is, of course, sometimes there's a lockout period. And by the time you've got your tokens back, you might have missed out. So we'll double check that in a second, just reiterate that point. And also just some key elements of staking when you're in the bear market over the next couple of years. It's always worth doing if there's an availability to do so. So IOTX, nothing major announcement wise. We've of course had many good listings recently, which of course had some really good effects on the chart. And I said we'll go into that in a minute. Only a couple of updates here. So there's an IDO launch pad coming to IOTX, which is really cool, using LaunchZone. So that's this platform here. It's actually quite an interesting little platform, actually. I've not heard of it before, but it seems to be growing in popularity from what I see on social media and through Reddit, etc. So it's a really cool little kind of platform, to be honest, for DeFi launches, as well as swapping as well. So there's of course a lot of exchanges and wallets doing similar things now. So it's really a big battle as to who's going to win this. And I think it all as well comes down to community. And of course, just general development, ease of use, how nice the app is and everything like that. I haven't downloaded it myself yet. I will take a look. This annoys me, by the way. Get on this. Overlapping. So yeah, it's just up and coming. Let's see how it goes. But that's a good little opportunity for IOTX to get a bit more awareness as well. And these guys, to be fair, have a multitude of assets available. So they're clearly doing the right things, and perhaps something to keep an eye out. I do like this as well. So if you are a new token or a new company trying to build up on blockchain or assets, you can use the IDO application there. I don't know too much info on this. We might cover that in a separate video. And same really for these guys as well, Firebird. By the way, go and watch the YouTube trailer. I had no idea what I was watching for the first minute. It looked like some mental cartoon like Beauty and the Beast gone wrong or something. And then it turned into something beautiful. And I was like, this is amazing. And it was a really nice little intro to farming, yield farming, which is pretty much what this is mostly about. And launch pools and things like that too, and some great staking and swap opportunities. So go and check these guys out as well. So just to emphasize that is another partnership that IOTX have put on here. So multi-chain expansion loading. Firebird is about to touch down, so they're adding Phantom, massive Phantom, Avalanche, IOTX, and Solana. Now that's a great pool to be in. If you're IOTX, to be honest, with three absolute huge giants in the crypto space. And I believe IOTX is a sleeping giant for sure. There's no doubt in my mind it's going to make waves in their sector and in the market as the years go by. So I just thought I'd pull those little ideas out that have occurred in the last week or so since our last video. And also this, the Pebble tracker, they're finally announcing that they appear to have got all the chipsets, albeit there's been a massive supply chain issue, as you know, around the world. Convenient, isn't it? Timing of everything. So they had the chip shortages and the supply chain issues. Apparently they've got over that, and they've now been able to mass manufacture with certified Pebble trackers. Okay, so I need to do a bit more research on these, but in general, I think businesses can have these on buildings. You can carry them around, and they're basically identity kind of elements in terms of where you are in your environment, collating data, whether it be locations, people's movements, weather, light, humidity, different kinds of levels of air quality, whether there's too much gas, whether there's too much CO2. All of these things apparently can be obtained through the information through this Pebble, and it's obviously going to help increase the ecosystem of AI and algorithm. And of course, when IoT integration comes in, that's what we talked about on many videos. In order for that to fully work, the AI algorithms need to start learning many things off humans, human to machine. But eventually, so much data will be captured over the next probably 5, 10, maybe 15, 20 years to then essentially move over to a machine to machine learning, where it starts going, okay, we've got all of this information on a real-time basis of all these people, not necessarily using all Pebbles, these things, but obviously loads of different ones that integrate within one whole unique ecosystem. That's what we talked about, right? On IOTA videos, on Matrix AR, all of these aspects of blockchain and how it's going to develop over the next few years. These are the kind of things that will help accumulate the data for us to have essentially an automated, autonomous future. Okay, so loads of things to think about, loads of things to look at. You can buy these, by the way. I did think of trying to see if I could get one, but I think it was quite expensive for something that I didn't really know much about, so I think I was going to wait a bit. But do check it out. I think it's a few $100s. They had the funding raising of that, and that was successful enough, obviously, for them to be able to do that. So go and take a look at this potential nice little hardware product to see how it goes. So guys, that kind of wraps up the bit of info on IOTX. Let's jump into the chart. Before we do so, if you found this video informative, even if you found it boring, just press the like button, it helps us out. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already, and press that bell button to ensure you get notified of all the awesome updates coming your way from ourselves. So let's look at this chart. We hit one of our buy options down here. Fantastic. We have this one down here still, which I've redone just to make it a yellow box so you could see it. Why did we put that in there? It's not because we don't believe in the project, because I'm a big holder of IOTX. It was more about this, and if you remember in the previous video, we spoke about this parabolic run. This was because of listings and a couple of other things. We had a 710% increase. In fact, it's probably more than that since the point of around 20th of July. 835% increase to that new all-time high, and it absolutely smashed through. To be honest, we had this little tail up with the rumor, then it all came on the launch, and obviously everyone grabs it as it gets onto their favorite exchanges or the ones that they use, and then you, of course, because of the volume perhaps being less than some others, you get the intake of it. But look at this volume, 3.3 billion tokens. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. So that's how much intake was happened. But then what you got to anticipate is like, okay, well, the price has been fluctuating, of course, up and down around these areas, and it did get to quite a high area around here before we got to this new all-time high. So it has had a good fair share of boosting and correction. We had the big correction like we did in the rest of the market up here, and it's a shame because it was going so well, but you have to have these corrections to find out the real price, the new support levels, and this, that, and the other. So historically, when we look at these potential buy opportunities, there is an argument to say that we could have another one down here, but I think with the way the momentum of the markets going in general, I think hopefully we're on the way to finding a new nice high support level up here somewhere for that. But you could argue, like for example, around here at this area of 0.03-ish, just call it 3 cents, there's been a lot of activity around here in terms of bounce down and also support levels around this mechanism. So around 3 to 3.5 cent. That kind of does, what I'm just do is remove that in a second. So we've put like this buy order here around that sort of 4 to 4.5 cent, and that's because we've passed straight through it here. The only support levels we've had around this area are these key levels here, which is why we drew these 2 yellow lines in. Okay, so we think it's a good chance if you were trying to put in some sneaky ones, perhaps just slightly above this, maybe just under that 5 cent mark, so 0.048-ish maybe, and maybe just tailing one down here just under that 4 cent or just over the 4 cent mark. You know, that's not financial advice, that's just opinion. If I didn't hold IOTX and I missed out on these opportunities previously, saw this parabolic run, I'd be thinking, right, okay, what's the gain capabilities of this? And to be fair, there's not a gigantic amount between these levels, but sometimes 2 cents or even 1 cent can make a gigantic difference to your gain method. So really think about that. But of course, even now, I truly believe even now, again, not financial advice, but right now is a great position to be joining in. The MACD is showing still a bearish movement, so I do anticipate still a slight drop. And the RSI is quite low, so it should indicate that we start tailing this off and coming back up again. It's just that the last 2 days unfortunately entailed a bit of Bitcoin movement, of course. But I do think overall in the market, people need to sort of take a step back and go, okay, well, we had the Bitcoin nonsense day. Why are we having another one? Well, actually, most of the market was very overinflated, and it always is that way usually. I mean, look at this. We had the staggering intake, a slight cool-off, but the cool-off didn't go into a sell-off, and we had this big parabolic rise. And you see that a lot, not necessarily this high, but on most of the crypto assets, it follows this similar pattern. So you just got to be wary of that, and then anticipate that you'll probably have a mirrored effect in the sell-off as well until you find the real price, is what I like to call it. But that's generally based on new support levels. So currently, if we just zoom into where we are on the chart here, you can see us floating just about 5.5 cents. Sorry. So really, if we can close above this today, I was quite surprised that we shot straight back up. So this is already indicating, if you look here, if I just move that one over there a second, this, by the way, is showing you the drop from that top point to where we are roughly now, and that's been a 63% reduction. Now, I usually say between 30 and 70. The reason I say that is because that's usually what happens, and that gives you buy opportunities all along that percentage gateway. Okay, so 70% is quite top. Sometimes it can go lower, of course, and that's why we've got this area. In fact, if we do drop to that kind of area, that does take us to 70. So actually, it does kind of emphasize our point with those previous support levels. But we'll take it back here for a second. I think this is very, very good point, that we are testing this area now at 5.5. So this is a good entry point in the sense that you're reducing the risk if it does go down, but equally it's a good buy point to get involved before we start tailing up in sort of mid-October to the end of October. So I do anticipate we'll start driving this back up again. If you remember, we drew these funnel lines in, and we've pretty much gone into that position where we thought it would go. So it's quite interesting that has played out. Pat on the head for us, I guess. But it doesn't always go right, of course. But 2 buy opportunities have been hit. We've got a third one here just in case, and that's what it's about, guys. Take profits along the way. This is mad. I think this is quite difficult to relate to. A lot of other charts are slightly more staggered up than this, but you have to anticipate these kind of things in the crypto space. So take profits along the way. Don't get greedy. And then you've accumulated enough to go, right, I'm going to buy back in on the way down, on a percentage average. And that's a good way of accumulating without having to spend your own actual money. Of course, some people are just holding and they just buy dips for the next run. Maybe they're doing that. There's loads of different strategies. No one's right or wrong. But just do consider, irrespective of that, trying to take profits along the way. Otherwise, you're just wasting money or just wasting time sometimes, okay? So that's where we are. We're at the 5.5 cent mark. This is crucial. I like the fact that we've dipped down twice so far, albeit today's not over, and we've retraced back to this level. So in my mind, if we can get a close up today and over the next 48 hours towards the end of this week, if we can close above the level, that could indicate that we're on a new support level. But if we don't see volume starting to kick in, i.e. this histogram reducing and going paler and less, and this MACD is not narrowing enough, you could anticipate the drop down. So just bear this in mind, that this could be a possibility still around this area. Equally, to say that if you do buy now, it's going to be reducing the risk because that's not a gigantic drop back down, but it's also a good opportunity to buy in for our next run up. Because I do think we're getting some good stability of lines moored. I mean, look at that. That's a nice tail. That would be great if we can loop back up and get a nice tail off up here. Where are we going with IOTX? Well, at the moment, it's arguably suggesting that IOTX could get near enough 50 cents in this run. Let's see if that plays out. What we'll do, guys, is we'll just wait for the next few days, see how we get the performance on this potential support area. This is key for me to reanalyze and figure out what we might get to in a price point for this run coming up in arguably November, December, maybe into January as well. So leave that with me, but at the moment, that is a potential possibility. And in fact, let's just take a look at that quickly before we wrap this up as to what that might look like in terms of gains from this point onwards. Let's argue that we are going to sit at 5.5 cents. That is approximately a 600% gain ish, just over 600% gain from this point up into a potential high point. Okay, so guys, we'll wrap it up there. Let us know if you're holding IOTX and let us know your price prediction for this year. I'm so excited about this project, not necessarily just for this year, but mainly for the few years to come, and how the sector is going to push the world and how we live, how we do things. It's going to be exciting, and there's multiple projects around this kind of thing. We've got some videos coming up on Matrix AI, including staking opportunities. We'll cover IOTA again at the end of this week, and loads of other ones as well. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.